Welcome back to Tech I Spy, the place where we don't just skim stock tickers and throw buzzwords at the wall. No, we crack them open. We take companies apart, bolt by bolt, and ask the real question, is this something you'd bet on? Today, we're diving into BigBear, a name that sounds like a cartoon but builds technology for warfare, logistics, and global-scale intelligence. If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe and check out our past reviews as we try to analyze every company in the tech sector, all 10,000 plus of them. This isn't your average AI company. It's not about catchy apps or novelty tools. BigBear is quietly powering the systems behind governments, militaries, and decision-makers with too much on the line to get it wrong. So, is this beast built for long-term strength, or is it just growling in the dark? Let's break it down. SWOT style. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Then we'll ask the only question that matters, is it worth investing in? Let's go. BigBear has rooted itself deeply in the fabric of real-time decision intelligence. What that means, in plain terms, is they don't just build systems that look at historical data or spit out raw statistics. They craft platforms that actually help organizations, especially those operating under pressure, make intelligent, high-stakes choices based on live, evolving data streams. Their systems can observe, analyze, predict, and then recommend action. And this loop continues, refining itself as more data is fed in. Take their flagship platform, Conductor OS. It isn't a simple dashboard. It's an orchestration engine capable of linking together dozens, even hundreds, of disparate systems, pulling data from multiple sources, cleaning it, ranking it, analyzing it, and translating it into something a human leader can act on. Think battlefield logistics, large-scale emergency response, global supply chains, situations where the wrong decision costs more than money. Conductor OS creates situational awareness by aligning AI models, sensors, human inputs, and legacy data systems, giving a commander or executive a unified picture of what's happening and what might happen next. They've also developed a computer vision platform called Arcus. Now, this isn't just facial recognition software. Arcus is trained to identify patterns, anomalies, behaviors, and even intent from camera footage. In military or critical infrastructure settings, it can watch hundreds of video feeds at once, flagging not just known threats but unexpected behaviors that require human review. It's the kind of tool that, at scale, turns passive surveillance into proactive defense. Then there's the cyber side. BigBear integrates threat intelligence into their larger platforms, feeding insights into network security, fraud detection, and digital identity verification. Their biometric system, VeriScan, streamlines the entire identity check process. It takes less time, improves accuracy, and eliminates many of the points where security can break down. Picture an airport security checkpoint where your face and travel history are cross-referenced instantly, not in 10 minutes, and with a vastly lower false positive rate. Financially, the company has been moving in the right direction despite the weight of early investments. In Q4 2024, they brought in $43.8 million in revenue, marking a steady year-over-year growth curve. That's not just sales, that's services already delivered. Their gross margin, how much they keep after subtracting the cost of delivery, was 37.4%, significantly better than the 32.1% posted the year before. That's a strong indicator of improving operational efficiency. They're getting better at delivering what they promise without bleeding cash in the process. One of their smartest moves was restructuring their debt. Early in their growth phase, they were carrying $182 million in convertible notes. Rather than let that debt hang around like an anchor, they renegotiated. Some of it was converted into equity, and the maturity on the rest was extended. The result? Their net debt dropped from $150 million to just $27 million. That's not a small cleanup. It's a major act of financial discipline. It changed their debt-to-cash ratio from $4 of debt per dollar of cash down to just over 1. That gives them room to breathe, room to pivot, and room to invest in what's working. And then there's the backlog. $437 million worth of contracted business waiting to be fulfilled as of the third quarter of 2024. That's not a sales target or a marketing forecast. That's money they've already lined up, work already committed. It acts like a financial cushion and a growth engine. It's the clearest possible sign that their customers aren't just experimenting with Big Bear's tools, they're relying on them, building them into the backbone of their operations. What really cements their strength, though, is the companies standing in the defense and government sectors. When the US Army selected BigBear.ai to build out the Global Force Information Management System under a $165 million contract, they weren't just hiring a vendor. They were making a bet that Big Bear could modernize the way the Army visualizes and manages its global personnel, assets, and missions. That kind of project demands trust, security clearance, and real technical muscle. And Big Bear got the nod. Their capabilities span mission planning, automated data fusion, predictive modeling, and AI-enabled simulation. An entire pipeline from ingesting raw data to simulating outcomes before a single human makes a call. That's why they're getting chosen. Not just because they build smart tools, but because they're stitching those tools together into systems that can think. In the end, Big Bear's strength is the total package, deeply integrated AI systems that solve high-value problems, a track record of government-grade trust, a tightening financial operation, and a backlog that shows real momentum. This isn't hype. It's delivery, it's execution, it's intelligence at scale. Now we turn the lens toward the weaknesses. Those quiet but critical flaws that lurk beneath Big Bear's impressive technology and growing revenues. Because no matter how promising a company may look from the outside, what lies underneath tells the real story. And Big Bear, for all its ambition, carries weight that investors and observers must not ignore. First, let's talk about profitability, or rather, the persistent lack of it. While BigBear.ai has shown revenue growth, it's important to understand that this growth has not translated into profit. In 2024 alone, they posted a net loss of nearly $300 million. That's not a minor shortfall. That's a gap that reveals the company is still spending far more than it earns. Losses of this magnitude year after year suggest a business still deep in its investment phase. That's fine for early-stage tech startups, but Big Bear has already gone public. Public companies with this kind of financial bleed often face pressure, either to cut spending or grow even faster. Both paths are risky. Second, and while they have managed to restructure a large portion of their debt, cutting it from roughly $150 million to just under $30 million, that effort came with a cost. A portion of that debt was converted into equity, meaning more shares were issued. That dilutes the value for existing shareholders. It's a financial maneuver designed for survival, not strength. Yes, it bought them breathing room, but it did so by spreading ownership thinner and raising concerns about how much more equity they'll have to issue if revenue growth doesn't accelerate. Then there's their dependency on government contracts. The bulk of their revenue still comes from federal clients, military branches, intelligence agencies, and other defense-adjacent entities. While these contracts are large and long-term, they're also high maintenance. The procurement process is slow, politically influenced, and subject to funding changes at the whim of Washington. One shift in administration or a defense budget cut could ripple through Big Bear's revenue stream like a fault line. Unlike commercial SaaS companies that scale freely across private enterprise, Big Bear still moves to the drumbeat of bureaucracy. Product-wise, despite all their technical muscle, their offerings can be extremely niche. Conductor OS, ARCAS, and their suite of decision support systems are complex platforms built for equally complex environments. That means limited off-the-shelf usability. They're not building mass-market products. They're crafting bespoke tools for high-end clients. That's powerful, but it's also narrow. Expansion into commercial sectors where customers demand simplicity, quick onboarding, and plug-and-play tools has been slow. And that's a dangerous imbalance, because the defense world might admire their capabilities, but the enterprise market won't wait for sophistication if it comes without ease of use. Another concern lies in integration risk. The company has made acquisitions and partnerships to bolster its technical portfolio, but integrating disparate technologies, especially when they come from different corporate cultures or engineering philosophies, is no easy task. Platforms like Conductor OS rely on seamless data flows and orchestrated intelligence. But under the hood, that means harmonizing systems that may not have been designed to talk to each other. If one part lags behind, say, the image recognition engine or the predictive model, the entire chain suffers. And that fragility isn't always visible until something breaks. Leadership turnover has also been an undercurrent. Kevin McAleenan, the former acting Secretary of Homeland Security, now sits at the helm, bringing deep government insight. But Big Bear has seen shifts at the executive level over the past few years. A changing leadership team signals either a company evolving fast or one struggling to find its voice. The truth may lie somewhere in between, but consistency in vision and execution is crucial, especially when the company is still burning cash and navigating the volatile waters of both defense and public markets. Lastly, there's brand obscurity. For all its achievements, BigBear.ai remains relatively unknown outside government circles and hardcore tech domains. It's not a household name in artificial intelligence, and that lack of visibility could hamper their ability to attract top commercial clients, elite talent, or the investor confidence that comes from buzz and mindshare. So yes, BigBear.ai builds smart tools. They work with the military. They're reshaping decision intelligence. But behind the curtain lies a company still finding its financial footing, overly dependent on a narrow client base, and carrying the growing pains of rapid evolution. These are not fatal flaws, but they are weaknesses that must be understood if one is to truly evaluate the strength of the machine they've built. Opportunities for Big Bear are not just speculative dreams. They're anchored in a world that's changing fast, becoming more complex, more connected, and increasingly dependent on artificial intelligence to make sense of it all. And in that chaos, Big Bear stands poised to seize openings others might not even see. The most immediate opportunity lies in the explosive growth of the artificial intelligence market itself. Governments, corporations, and even mid-sized businesses are waking up to the fact that data alone isn't enough. What they need is intelligence, systems that can not only read the data, but translate it into foresight. Big Bear is already fluent in this language. As demand grows, they're not scrambling to build the tools. They already have them tested in military environments, validated in the field. They simply need to adapt and scale what they know into adjacent markets. Commercial expansion is perhaps the biggest green field. While Big Bear has cut its teeth on government contracts, there's untapped potential in industries like logistics, energy, finance, and infrastructure. These sectors are drowning in data, much like the military, and they need better ways to predict, simulate, and respond to operational challenges. Take a national shipping company dealing with port delays, weather disruptions, or equipment failures. Big Bear's predictive modeling and situational awareness tools could streamline those logistics in the same way they optimize battlefield planning. The challenge will be in packaging those capabilities in a format suited to business users rather than generals. But the opportunity is enormous. Another area of promise lies in global expansion. Thus far, Big Bear has primarily operated in the United States and among US-aligned defense ecosystems. But there's an entire world of allied nations, partners in NATO, Asia-Pacific, and the Middle East, who are rapidly modernizing their defense and infrastructure systems. Big Bear already has the security credentials and the deployment record to become a key AI intelligence partner for allied governments upgrading their digital capabilities. International growth doesn't require inventing new tech, just applying what they've already built to new landscapes. There's also a strategic opportunity in autonomous systems. As drones, robotic vehicles, and automated surveillance networks become more prevalent, someone has to orchestrate them. Someone has to fuse their inputs, guide their responses, simulate their responses, simulate their outcomes. Big Bear's platforms are practically designed for that role. They already integrate inputs from sensors, satellites, databases, and human analysts. Extending that orchestration to autonomous systems is a natural next step. If they move fast, they could become the AI brain behind the machines that are redefining modern operations. From defense to disaster relief to industrial inspection, the demand for real-time simulation and digital twins, virtual models of real-world systems, is also rising fast. Cities want digital twins of their traffic networks. Utilities want them for power grids. Manufacturers want them for entire supply chains. Big Bear's AI-driven scenario simulation tools could evolve into a platform for digital twin management, opening doors into smart city planning, resilient infrastructure, and real-time economic modeling. Let's not forget mergers and acquisitions. As the AI sector heats up, smaller startups with novel models or niche applications will either be swallowed up by giants or look for partnerships to survive. Big Bear, with its core tech and government trust, is in a prime position to acquire targeted capabilities, especially in natural language processing, edge AI, and cybersecurity, to deepen its offering without having to build every feature in-house. The company is at the size and scale where it can grow laterally and vertically, making strategic moves that could dramatically accelerate its evolution. And finally, there's public perception. The world is uneasy about AI. Misinformation, deepfakes, mass surveillance. These fears are growing louder. But Big Bear's strength lies in providing clarity and control. In a time when AI is seen as dangerous or opaque, Big Bear has a rare opportunity to brand itself as the responsible intelligence partner, the AI company that serves not to replace people, but to support them with better data, better context, and better outcomes. That position, if communicated well, could win them not just contracts, but trust. The world is tilting toward AI, but not all AI companies are created equal. BigBear.ai isn't betting on hype. It's betting on systems, integration, insight. And those bets align precisely with what the future demands. The door is open. All that remains is whether they walk through it before someone else does. Threats, the quiet killers, the unspoken weights that can derail even the most promising machine. For BigBear.ai, those threats are not hypothetical. They are real, pressing, and in some cases already at the door. The first and most immediate threat is competition. The AI sector is exploding. And while Big Bear has carved out a niche in defense and decision intelligence, they are far from alone. Every major tech player, from Palantir to IBM, Microsoft to Google, is pushing deeper into artificial intelligence, analytics, and real-time data processing. These giants have scale, talent, and most importantly, budgets that dwarf Big Bear's entire balance sheet. If any of them decide to directly target Big Bear's government contracts or build similar orchestration systems for commercial clients, the competitive pressure could become suffocating. Even worse, some of the newer players in AI aren't following the traditional rules. Startups with ultra-aggressive AI models, open-source foundations, and venture capital backing are sprinting into markets faster than Big Bear can walk. They're experimenting with newer models, leaner architectures, and faster iteration cycles. And while those companies might not yet have defense clearances or battlefield-tested credibility, they're not waiting for permission. If Big Bear doesn't stay ahead technically, they risk becoming the slow, secure option in a market that increasingly rewards speed and flexibility. Government reliance, while a strength in one light, also casts a long shadow. The majority of Big Bear's revenue still flows from government clients. That means their fortunes are tied, in part, to political wins and defense budgets. A change in administration, a shift in military priorities, a pullback in tech spending, all of these could choke future growth. Contracts could be delayed, programs could be paused, and in the world of government procurement, once funding disappears, it rarely returns quickly. The public markets pose another kind of threat. Big Bear is a publicly traded company, and that means it answers not just to customers, but to investors. And investors, as history shows, are not patient creatures. If Big Bear can't turn its impressive revenue gains into sustainable profits, and fast, market sentiment could sour, share prices could tumble, leading to restricted access to capital, tougher terms for fundraising, and difficulty attracting top-tier talent. Financial weakness, when combined with high investor expectations, creates a dangerous gap that can swallow even well-run companies. Then there's technology risk, the silent erosion that happens when platforms age faster than expected. Big Bear's strength is its sophisticated orchestration and simulation tools, but those same tools must be updated constantly to stay competitive. AI models evolve rapidly. What worked last year could feel obsolete tomorrow. If Big Bear fails to keep its platforms modern, updating interfaces, accelerating model performance, adapting to newer data sources, they could find themselves selling legacy systems to clients demanding next-generation performance. Cybersecurity is another lurking threat. It might sound ironic, considering Big Bear supports digital security and threat intelligence. But that spotlight also makes them a target. If any of their systems were ever breached, especially during a sensitive government deployment, the reputational damage would be swift and brutal. Their entire brand rests on trust. And trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to fully restore. One high-profile hack could unravel years of progress. There's also the threat of overextension, with opportunities in commercial, international, and autonomous systems. There's a real risk the company tries to do too much too fast. Spreading resources across too many initiatives can lead to product delays, missed milestones, and inconsistent execution. If leadership can't maintain discipline, choosing where to push and where to pause, the company could find itself juggling too many balls with too few hands. And finally, the threat of perception. In the age of AI fear, where the public is increasingly anxious about surveillance, machine learning bias, and algorithmic decision-making, Big Bear walks a narrow line. If their systems are ever seen as contributing to unjust outcomes, privacy violations, or automated errors in critical decisions, the backlash could be swift and unforgiving. One wrong deployment, one misunderstood algorithm, one viral controversy, and the entire narrative could shift from trusted intelligence partner to AI company gone wrong. So while BigBear.ai is built on a foundation of strength and promise, it's surrounded by landmines, giants with sharper teeth, politics with shifting tides, markets with itchy trigger fingers, code that ages too quickly, and a world increasingly skeptical of the very intelligence they aim to deliver. That's the landscape. And navigating it won't be a matter of luck. It'll take strategy, discipline, and a bit of the bear's namesake, patience, power, and teeth. So, after stripping it down, examining the gears, and feeling the heat of both promise and pressure, what is BigBear.ai really? Is this a machine worth betting on? Is it an investment, or just an idea wrapped in contracts and code? BigBear.ai is not a hype-driven AI stock chasing headlines with flashy demos and vague ambitions. It is, at its core, an engineer's company. Quiet, methodical, and deeply embedded in some of the most serious sectors of technology: defense, logistics, infrastructure, and intelligence. That, in itself, is a powerful foundation. The company already has its hands on the levers of government. It builds tools that don't just look cool. They work, they deliver, they inform life or death decisions. And the backlog of nearly $500 million proves customers are not only convinced, they're committed. Financially, it's a mixed picture. Revenue is rising, margins are improving, and the debt burden has been drastically reduced. Those are all the signs of a company growing into itself. But it still bleeds money. It hasn't crossed that critical line into sustainable profit. And in the public markets, that's a line painted in fire. If you're looking for the next quick growth, low-risk AI darling, this isn't it. BigBear.ai is not an overnight moonshot. It's a long campaign, a war of attrition. A company whose full value may not be understood until after it's already built into the infrastructure of 100 systems you never see, guiding decisions you never hear about. The real question is time. If you're the kind of investor who sees value in foundational tech, the kind that's slow, secure, and designed to scale across decades, not quarters, then yes, Big Bear is worth a closer look. But if you're chasing flash, fast returns, or the next viral AI breakthrough, you might find this bear too quiet, too careful, too deliberate. In the end, BigBear.ai is the kind of investment that rewards patience, punishes panic, and lives in the shadows of power. It's not about hype, it's about influence. And sometimes, in this world of noise, the company that speaks the softest ends up shaping the loudest decisions. Thanks for tuning in to Tech I Spy. If you found this breakdown valuable, if you like going deeper than the surface, seeing what others miss, then do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share it with someone who thinks AI is just about chatbots and selfies. We're here to uncover the real machines behind the headlines. See you next time. Stay curious, stay sharp.